The word Renaissance means rebirth. It's a rebirth of Greek and Roman worlds. It's basically like we have taken the things that we've learned from the Crusades that we just talked about a second ago, and from the Mongols and so on and so forth, and what we got off that Silk Road, and we have like put it back into European society. And so we begin to study different artworks of people like this. The Italian Renaissance spread through the rest of Europe, and it occurred between 1350 and 1550. Again, we talked about how this is a little bit of a gray area. There's no real set date as to the exact date that the Renaissance happened. Really, more it was a span of time from around 1300 to around 1600. Some people would say 1500, 1400 to 1500. Some people would say 1300 to 1500. It's kind of a round number. We just say that the Renaissance for sure happened from 1350 to 1550. So, again, this was a rebirth of ancient Greek and Roman worlds. So, if you look here to the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that there are two sculptures here. These sculptures have a lot of similarities. If you look at them, you probably couldn't figure out just off the top of your head which one was from which if you didn't know where they were from. So one of them is Augustus. That's the one to the far right with the armor on. And the other one is the statue of David that was from the Renaissance. So Augustus was sculpted during the Roman times, and the statue of David about, 1,300 years later, 1,400 years later, give or take. So it probably looks like there's a lot of similarities, and like they would be from the same time period. But if you look at the statue of David closer, you would notice that there are some very striking differences between that, and not just that he's naked. But you would notice that there's a lot more detail put into the human art and into the human form. Particularly his hands. You can see his body looks like somebody who has been working out and not eating junk food. And he actually looks like a person would look. The one of Augustus, it looks like it's just not quite as detailed. Now there's a lot of details in it, but they basically improved upon the things that they saw in Roman and Greek times, and that was just kind of where they wanted to hook up with, was because they thought those people were the people to model their life after. And in a lot of sense, they were actually quite accurate. The Romans had made some really good strides in a lot of different things. Aqueducts, they had running water that came from the mountains. That's like super cool. So these people, they modeled their life after what they thought would be the best route to go, and how to grow and how to get better. So you have to have a starting point, and this was just a starting point that they picked.